Good afternoon, everybody. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day recap for Wednesday. And a little further move up here in the SPYs. They finished up about 12 basis points for the day and getting more overbought. If you look at the RSI, which is now 76. So that is an overbought territory. I'm looking down here on the bottom of the screen. So we are pretty overbought here. I would say, Qs are not overbought. Qs continue to kind of like sit and kind of trail the performance. Citrix System announces restructuring program. That just hit the tape. IWM kind of finally finished first day in the red in probably was that over a week. I'm not going to count the days, but you can kind of see this was really the main story. It is still overbought. You can see that the RSI is what, an 81. I think it got to an 85 yesterday. Where did this? This was a pretty good indicator. Again, using the value areas this morning, we fell. We held on to support at the top of value, right around that 150 level. We bounced here for a little bit, and then we fell into it, but we really didn't go too far. We turned around right on the bottom of value. So again, the value area is providing really good levels for where to take trades and where to not take trades. And this was not a trade to kind of press a short. So, if you shorted up here, great on this bar, so be it. Good job. You may have taken some profits here and then maybe repressed here if you wanted to do that in IWM. I did not do that. I still have some out of the money call spreads that I sold in. So that's my insurance right now in case we do get a little bit of volatility in the market. But today's outperformers were a little bit different. Again, option activity, just what I've been saying all week, has been really, really good and aggressive. Some really good chunky situations, trades on the tape if you're paying attention. Again, you have to really pay attention to some of these, but it's been fantastic. So let me just go through the sectors really quick. Utilities actually outperformed today. Bonds were flat today. Gold was up a little bit. Just again, that different groups leading the way just about every day. So utilities were the performer today, up 1%. The outperformer today, up 1%. Telecom for a second day. I had a lot of questions about this one. Like, hey, what's going on in telecom? Why is it up so much? Well, I just think it's been one of the worst groups all year long. You can see it's underneath the 200-day moving average, and it's a lot of small cap names that are in this IYZ ETF. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but if you go into IYZ and the movers, you can see what I'm talking about. This is a $2 stock, was up 7%. Spock, I've never traded this company before, so you can see it's telecom, but it's not your Verizon, it's not your AT&T. Those names were up a little bit yesterday, but it's more of your small cap tech, not names I think that I'm really going to get involved in here. I did take a look at some of these charts to see if they were compelling. I don't know. Maybe if you're really looking to play something for a bounce, but I think that's what we're getting right now in telecom. Anyway, still seeing some buying going on in the home builders. DHI. So another call buyer. This name continues to break out. So really nice move. ITB continues to be one of the performers. This is getting really stretched. If you want to sell call spreads in this, I think that's available to you with an RSI of 80. These when's the last time the call buyers have gotten this? The home builders have gotten this overbought. Maybe over here, which we kept on going higher. But it is really rare for the home builders to get an RSI above 80. But that's kind of what we're seeing. We see this like in GM as well. Look at how overbought General Motors is. It is now an 88 RSI. There is a purple line up here. That's probably where I would be looking to fade it. You do have some more further up here. Again, these purple lines are where high volume was previously. But prices never return to these levels. That's why they're important. Again, virgin point of controls. So that was a couple of the outperformers. The banks cooled off today. The regional banks were down over 1% today, down 1.2%. Retail companies, that's the XRT ETF, were down 74 basis points. So again, you have that you know, performance where some groups are outperforming really nicely, and then other areas are taking the day off, like the banks down over. You would think if somebody told you, if and they said, "Hey, the banks are down 1.2%. What's the overall market? What do you think the overall market is?" It's up. It's just we're getting just, and I guess we're getting used to it. That that there is just on a daily basis just a lot of separation between those sectors, but kind of beating a dead horse. We've been talking about this now for weeks and months. So let me just talk about some of the aggressive call activity today. There was some really nice gems today, and I keep saying in the trading room that, hey, I'm not really looking for any major big swing trades right now, but unless we see something that's really unusual, then I'll get involved. So let me start with a name that we saw this afternoon, and then I'll comb over some of the names that we saw earlier. So EMR, take a look at this name. This is an industrial name, but they continued to buy in little bits and pieces, and they got up to 6,400. These are in the money calls, so they're not cheap, they're expensive. And look at the prints that they were doing, like 500, see if I can find 300, 200. So they were really, I think I would use the word sneaky when you're really trying to fly under the radar. The only print that happened that was over 500 shares was once, and they got up to over 6,000 contracts. So that's a decent size order. When you take 6,000 contracts times what 265, you're talking about a $1.6 million trade. I mean, that's not light. So interesting, this chart. This name's been on my watch list for a while, and I've been kind of watching it make this move. And I said, okay, well, let's see what it does if it breaks out here. So it kind of stalled here and came in here a little bit, found some support at the 20, but it looks like it might be ready to take that next move, that next leg higher here. I would watch this top of value, which is 64.05. That's going to be your breakout. Or you could just basically look at these candles, but I use the value areas for that confirmation. So I did start a trade in this name today. I didn't do the 62 and a half, so I did the 65s. I went up a little bit. In strike, I went up to the next strike. The strikes are $2.50 wide. So I think that's really the trade of the day. Let me just talk about this name, SeaWorld, for a minute. I did not take this trade. We've seen repeat call buying. I've mentioned it. I'm actually relieved that the name's given back all the gains or given back almost all the gains in the aftermarket. But it just this happens from time to time. I mean, this was the last calls that were bought were about 50 minutes before the close, and I actually did mention this. In the room, I said, here we go. Repeat calls going up in C's. So they've been going after those the last 2 days. So you knew something was up, and they said that after hours that they're exploring a sale. But it's just not a name. For me, it's not a quality name to really get involved in. Like I said, going into the day, that I was looking for, I was only going to get really involved in a something that was really special in terms of a swing trade. So, if you day traded it, you're going to miss out on this stuff. So don't be fooled by the idiots on Twitter who are calling it out when they don't own any of it either. So, um, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to be highly selective, which I think that you should be right now, again, I can't give advice or recommendations, but I'm being very selective considering how overbought the indices are. So, being over selective, I'm not going to take even if it's repeat activity, I'm not going to take SeaWorld calls. So it is what it is. I like the EMR trade much better, much more sizable. So just a few other trades to kind of go through. XBI, this is really interesting. Uh, you know, I was saying earlier in the day that I think biotech can still run because I believe the right term is generalists are not really in biotech yet. The guys who know the group, they've been making gains in the biotech group and have had a wonderful year. But I don't think it's an overcrowded space yet. However, when you start to see, a $2 million order going up in XBI, 22,000 contracts going out to November, this is where the generalists kind of get involved. So I did not take this trade either because I've been in biotech for the last couple of weeks. I'm still in some XLV calls. I think some of these names, you could actually get in cheaper, and that's kind of what I'm looking to do. I'm going to wait for a little bit of a pullback. Some of these trades you can kind of keep in your back pocket, meaning you don't have to jump into them if you're okay with having a little bit of fear of missing out. Sometimes you can get into these trades cheaper, and it will still work out. So again, I was showing a little bit of discipline today, but I'm not getting into a November trade right now. November 90 calls, and if we get a pullback in the next couple days, whatever it is, this would be a great trade to possibly get in cheaper than 206 or to structure differently. I would be, I already know which trade I'm going to get into. It would probably be something a little bit further out, probably December, maybe a call spread as well in XBI. But keep in mind, normally whenever there is a little bit of volatility that shows up in the market, biotech usually gets hit first, or is one of the sectors that goes down pretty hard. So you may get that opportunity on a red day to get involved in this trade if you didn't take it. Again, it's just something that I've noticed with some of these really large prints and a little bit further out, when the market is overbought, just keep them, write them down. Keep a notebook, because sometimes you get an opportunity to get in much cheaper than the the price that was paid today. All right. Credit Suisse, we mentioned this yesterday. This was a little bit difficult to read, but I believe they added to Credit Suisse today. There was 4,000 of these. These were swept. Not a huge trade. They went all the way up to 17 bucks, but it looks like some consistent activity now we're seeing. That's 2 days of activity. These look like they were bought going out to March. So who knows? They could also be doing some type of a calendar spread as well, but it's 2 days of activity in this space. Just a couple other trades. Some Yelp went up today. Some Folds. Fold has been a huge winner in the Tribeca Trade Group room all year long. It made another 52-week high today, so it just took out this previous high. It was bid up really huge pre-market, up to 18 bucks. So I finally took a little bit of profits in this trade. Just noticing there's been so much paper in this trade. One of the trades that I will point out to you, and again, this is an institution most likely doing this, but you could do this with your own positions too. For instance, if you own calls, what they did, they took their January 14 calls, appears to be sold, and they rolled them out. And so they took their profits, and they're still in the game. They're just rolling out and up. So you could do that too with, a lot of, I think, retail investors forget. They're like, hey, I gotta either make a decision, I'm gonna hold it, or I'm gonna get out of the position. And then they're like, that's it. So many other times there's other things that you could do. You could take those profits and you can roll them out and lock in some of those gains. But if it happens to keep running, you've got another position in there. So it's just another way. I think a lot of retail investors, they don't have that frame of mind to say, hey, let me take this trade off and I'll restructure it a little bit further out. So if it continues to run, I still have a piece of the pie. So really good in that particular name to notice what was going on. I don't own any options anymore in this name. I just own cash. So this is the first target that I've taken. I think I'm in this name at I think it's 722 is my cost basis, so that's more than a double, and I think a perfect place to take a little bit of profits. I didn't get the high today. I didn't have the order out at 18 bucks. Sometimes you just don't realize it's going to go up. But another thing that you should always do, if that's a place that you want to take some risk off, have an order out. Couple other names to go over this afternoon. There was a couple other things that caught my eye. This is a duplicate. I could take that off. There was some Oracle for tomorrow, or sorry, not for tomorrow. For this week. Nothing really crazy going on here in Oracle, but they have their analyst day tomorrow. So they've been buying. They bought calls yesterday and they bought calls today. Just weeklies. So 7,000. Somebody's not spending a ton of money on this, but 30 cents for 30 cents. If you're okay losing 30 cents, we call this lottos, right? Taking a little shot at this, I think, makes sense considering someone else thinks that something might happen on their analyst date, which is tomorrow. And then the final trade, again, I could talk about five more trades because it's just been that type of action. But if you like buying names on dips, they keep coming into JD.com, and I know this name. It scares me a little bit that it has kind of an air pocket down to the 200-day moving average. But it seems like whenever this name has been getting pounded, they come in and they open up a new trade. So JD November 42 calls were purchased for 88 cents today. So always, something to take note of when a name is under pressure that people like a lot. When it's down 1 or 2%, if somebody comes in and buys on the dip, I think that's important, and it's been pretty consistent that way with JD. So again, if you didn't get into this trade, who knows? It might come down to $36, and I think that would be a great place to buy at the 200-day moving average. If not, maybe wait for confirmation for a reclaim of the value area, the October value area. So 40.11 is a level to watch there. There was also a lot of put buying today as well in select names. One name that I keep seeing a lot is MBI. This is Financial Guarantee Insurance, I believe. I'm probably butchering that a little bit, but they keep going after this name. This name, we've seen this before when they have a lot of exposure to Puerto Rico. So, they're really going after puts in this name. Take a look at the volume today in this. It does kind of look like a hammer bar form today, but they've been going after puts consistently in this MBIA. All right, so that's tonight's video. Have a great night, and I'll see you back tomorrow morning. Thank you.